Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Self-Control, and this was a really good episode. I mean, this has been the best season so far for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and this just really delivered on the promise of what the life model decoys can do and what they mean as a threat to the world if used as Radcliffe is using them. So, in the beginning of the show, we see Ada kind of dealing with the Superior, and he's like, I don't want my mind messed with, I don't want to be you. He's like, no, you're going to be many things. And then starts like cutting into him with a saw and all that, and it's like, holy crap. So the main part of this was dealing with this stuff at S.H.I.E.L.D. HQ, and we see Fitz and Simmons kind of freaking out like, oh god, what do we do? And we see that Coulson and Mace come in, and they're talking about how, okay, have we got anything on the sub because we probably think that it's got missile capabilities, and trying to figure out if we can get all the Inhumans, contact them, and bring them in because they're probably going to try and target Inhumans. And of course, Mace was trying to get them kind of separated, and Fitz and Simmons were like, no, we still have this like old Russian communication equipment. We can probably decipher the codes from it better together, so let's just get on that. That'll be the best kind of option for it. And they kind of let him do it. And then we see that Mace and Coulson are talking, like, we gotta get them separated. We've got to get them scanned in and taken out as fast as possible before anybody else in the base catches on. We also gotta get in contact with the Inhumans and execute them. So they're still going on the programming of taking out the Inhumans. And we at first are thinking that, like, Daisy's part of it as well as Mace. And it's like, that really amps up the kind of tension of what you're seeing in each kind of character interaction. So then we get to see that, like, Fitz and Simmons are kind of going into this workshop to kind of, like, get their heads around everything. And we see that there is a screen that's showing that, like, one of them is a life model decoy. And then that really gets a tense scene between Simmons and Fitz. And Simmons pulls a gun on him and is like, don't come near me, don't hurt me. And Fitz is just like playing and saying that, like, no, it's my fault for all this technology and everything, and I made it so perfect, and it's hurting people like this. It's really kind of like wearing on him. And then she's like, all right, take that and cut your wrist. If you're human, you'll be fine and just be bleeding, but then I can see the substructure. And then he does it, and at first we're thinking, oh god, he's probably just bleeding out and everything, but as she gets closer, I got into my head like, it's a trap, and we see the Fitz life model decoy stab Simmons and knock her out and get ready to, like, upload her to the framework and all that, and scan her in and get her into a life model decoy body. And she's waking up groggy, and she's still fighting, and, like, eats wax, and no, it's all better there and everything. Stop, don't hurt yourself or anything. And she's able to get it into a position that she drops an engine on it. And I'm like, there you go, Simmons. She's evolved so much as a character, and that if she was in this kind of situation before, like season 1, she would freak out and have no idea what to do to get herself out of the situation. Now, she has gotten herself into and through these kinds of situations before that she can actively think, even when drugged up, and be able to kind of get out of this situation. And we see her drop this engine on it, and then just start stabbing it in the chest, and we're kind of freaked out because he starts choking her, because of course stabbing it like that's not going to do anything to a robot, and she's able to stab it in the neck and kind of short it out and stop it. It's like, oh god, so she gets out of there, and then we see that Mac is on the plane getting ready, and one of the agents goes, oh, Daisy's checking the containment cells and everything to make sure everything's good, and he's like, damn it. And he goes off, and we see that Daisy finds all of these life model decoys of her in one of the containment units, and she's freaking out, and of course she kind of like hides herself among them as Mac's searching for her, and she like quakes him and gets out, and of course meets up with Simmons. And we get this tense thing moment going on because they're not sure who's real and who's not. And Simmons is like, I know I'm real. And Daisy's like, you're acting like a freaked out robot right now, alright? You're kind of freaking me out. Alright, here's my plan. I will quake you. And not enough to hurt you, just to see if you've got bones. And if you've got bones, we're good. And see, here's the thing. If I'm a life model decoy, I won't be able to use Quake powers. And it's like, so it's still getting really tense, and she just like grabs her and does the Quake thing, and they have such relief over that. It's like, holy shit, the tension with this is crazy. And they're like, oh my god, we are in this base, and robots are coming after us. Killer robots are coming after us. What are we going to do? And of course, Daisy had seen like the sleeping gas, so they come up with this plan to use the gas to knock out everybody that's human. That way they know for a fact what life model decoys they have to take out. And then of course at this point, the other life model decoys had found the Fitz life model decoy, and the other agents looked closely at it because Coulson and Mace were like, oh no, we've got to find Simmons because it's a life model, she's a life model decoy. And they inspected like, wait a minute, he's the life model decoy. And then of course they kill them. It's like, oh, shouldn't have led to bloodshed. And Mace is like, well, Daisy's onto us now. It's like, all right, cut the lights, cut the security. We got this. And because they can see better in the dark. And then it starts this like tense kind of like movement because Daisy and Simmons use the gas, knock everybody out, and then we see a really good fight scene between Daisy and Mace. And she's kind of at a disadvantage. She's good at one-on-one combat with like a regular person or an inhuman person, but a robot's a different kind of matter. They don't tire like a human does, and they've got a more enhanced durability. And she was doing pretty effective against it, but it was still kind of like getting to a point that she's got to figure out how to finish this fight as soon as possible, and takes him out in the neck. It's like, all right, that one's down. But then she gets shot by the Mac and the Coulson life model decoy, and then of course kind of makes the kind of Quake Kamehameha ball and then blasts it both at him and completely disintegrates the Mac life model decoy and knocks out the Coulson life model decoy. And then at that point we see that Simmons had come in. They had used the antidote on some agents that had been with the Mac life model decoy to wake them up and be like, one of them was actually getting ready to kill the Simmons one when she saw the Mac one flying to pieces. Like, okay, yeah, I told you so, but I don't need to now. I'm like, all right, we got to get to the Zephyr. We got to get out of here. And they're going, and they see the May life model decoy sitting on explosives, getting ready to like blow herself up. So like, all right, Coulson, they're here. And we'd seen before her talking with Coulson, learning the fact that it was the Coulson life model decoy, and that freaking her out because she's still programmed to think that she's the real May. And kind of talking with him about this, seeing that this is actually the first time that she's seen snow and all that, kind of getting around to that kind of fact. And of course, they're able to talk her into letting them through because May would let them through to save them. And talking to Coulson like, well, listen, pain and regret, that's like what makes people people. And you're not the real Coulson. And he goes to shoot her and she blows it up and the Zephyr gets out and kind of rocked by the explosion. But their plan is to get into the framework, hijack themselves in to wake the people up and get her a better location on them. And of course they get Yo-Yo involved in this because she was like one of their top priorities because she's the best asset they have. It's like, holy crap. And they pretty much get themselves into there, and we see that this was like the biggest part. We've also got other stuff going on with Radcliffe, but this like sets up the whole kind of rest of where we're kind of going, because I think the main part is going to be getting through this framework world. We see Daisy wake up in a bathtub and get a call, kind of text, and it says, wake up your boyfriend, you're needed. And she goes out and we see that the boyfriend that she's got is Ward. We also see that Coulson is a teacher and that he's writing on the board Inhumans and why we fear them. Then we see Fitz getting out of a car, super sleek kind of car. He's kind of all fancied up, reaching in to take someone's hand and bring them out of the car. Then we see that Gemma we see her gravestone. And this is important because they're jacking themselves into avatars that are populated within the framework. Which leads to interesting question because Daisy woke up in her avatar. What the fuck is going to happen with Simmons if she wakes up Kill Bill style in a grave, if she even wakes up if the avatar is populated in there? And then we see May, and she is standing in Triskelion. And it's like, okay, she's still a shield and then we get the revelation that it's got the Hydra logo on it. And it's like, what the hell's going on? What has happened in this world if you change each little regret that someone had? Because we'd seen in Radcliffe's part, we've seen like Fitz and all the rest of them jacked in, and she had to reset the simulation to change their each one regret. And of course, Radcliffe's like, you can't do that while I'm in there, it could completely and utterly melt my brain. And it's like, okay, what's going on here? And we then see that Ada's having a conflicting paradox because her prime directives are to protect the framework and protect Radcliffe's life above all else. But the biggest threat to the framework is Radcliffe, and she talked about like emotions and all that, and how he is prone to regrets and has little self-control. And he's like, no, I will not regret this. And there's no way I can regret this. The framework's a great thing. It can take you beyond death and all that stuff. You're like, she's effectively, alright, you resolved my paradox. She slits his wrists and pretty much uploads him while he's dying into the framework so that way he could never destroy it. It's like, holy shit. This is what happens when you create androids and life like this. It will have its own way. Your only option is to not think of yourself as completely above this creation. He should have known better than to just treat her as like nothing. No soul, no feelings at all. Because no matter how something is created, even if it's a robot like this, and you do it to mimic humans, it will eventually reach the point where it will either want to become human in the fullest sense of like technology fused with like organic, or be pissed off with humans and just take them out. It's like we're seeing that kind of evolution in Ada wanting to be more human. Because after we've seen everything that's going on in this framework, this completely screwed up reality, we see that Ada has taken Superior. We see him, we see him with this kind of body. He's like, am I okay and all that? It's like, oh yeah, this is completely fake. Your brain's still intact. And she's pretty much taken his head and put it in a jar to remote control a mechanical body to protect the framework because it's a perfect machine with all the human emotions, which I will soon have. And it's like, holy shit, how is she going to do this? What is her endgame now that she's effectively taken Radcliffe off the board? Because you'd always see that Radcliffe, he would always want to think of himself as the smartest man in the room. But he could never entertain the notion that there could be someone or something smarter than him. And that was his greatest downfall. Because Ada's was to protect Radcliffe and figure out a way, and will now try and reach her goal of, if not becoming human, achieving like human emotions and humanity. And we'll have to see how she's able to do that, and if Daisy and Simmons are able to get the rest of the agents out of there before she deems, you know what, it's just a safer bet to take out each organic vessel and just have them completely uploaded to the framework. This is like a big earth-shattering kind of things. I mean, these could have vast repercussions on like the Marvel movies and all different kinds of Marvel TV shows with like life model decoys, the framework, and all that kind of stuff. I just can't wait to see where this is going to be heading and what kind of conclusion it'll come to. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.